Selection 2, Gloria Estefan, by Sue Boulay. Chapter 1, Escaping with Music. Gloria Estefan was born Gloria Maria Fajardo on September 1st, 1957. She was the first child born to Gloria and Jose Manuel Fajardo. She has a younger sister, Rebecca, Becky. Gloria lived with her family in Havana, Cuba. Her mother taught kindergarten there. Her father was an officer in the Cuban Army. In 1959, however, a war began in Cuba, and many Cubans fled to the United States for safety. These people were called refugees. The Fajardos were among the refugees. By the time Gloria was 2 years old, Jose Fajardo had settled the family in Miami, Florida. He then went back to Cuba to fight against Fidel Castro, who had taken control of the government. Other Cuban men in Florida had also gone back to Cuba to fight. Many, including Jose, were captured and kept in a Cuban prison for nearly 2 years. Gloria and her mother were alone in the United States. The U.S. government tried to help get the prisoners back to the United States. Finally, just a few days before Christmas in 1962, Jose Fajardo was freed. He returned to Miami. Life in the United States wasn't easy for the family. The Fajardos spoke only Spanish. Many Americans didn't want Cuban refugees in the United States. They treated the refugees badly. But Gloria was determined to succeed. At school, she quickly learned English and caught up with the other children. She was always at the head of her class, even when her home life became very difficult. When Gloria's father came back from Cuba, he joined the U.S. Army. In 1966, when war began between the United States and Vietnam, Jose Fajardo volunteered for duty. He served in Vietnam for 2 years. Gloria was 10 when her father came home. The girls and their mother knew something was wrong with him. Even though he had not been hurt in the fighting, Gloria says, he'd fall for no reason. Her father was told he had multiple sclerosis. This disease can cause many kinds of problems because it attacks the nerves. In just a few months, her father could not walk. Mrs. Fajardo went back to work to support the family. She also went back to college and got an American teaching degree. Then she taught public school in Miami. Gloria helped out at home as much as she could. She became a little mother to her family. From the age of 11 until she was 16, Gloria took care of her sister, Becky, and her father. Jose Fajardo needed constant care. It was around the clock, says Gloria. It wasn't easy. His mind went before his body. There were times when he wasn't aware of who I was or who any of us were. It was very hard. During those years, music became very important to Gloria. She remembers, when my father was ill, music was my escape. I'd lock myself up in my room with my guitar. In her room, Gloria would listen to music for hours and hours. She loved to sing along with the ballads and pop songs. She learned to play the guitar. Soon, she could play along with her favorite songs. Chapter 2, Making Music with Emilio. Music became more and more important to Gloria as she went through her teen years. During her senior year in high school, she and some friends put together a band to play for a party. The father of another band member knew Emilio Estefan, a popular band leader in Miami. The father invited Emilio to one of the girls' rehearsals to give the girls a few tips. Gloria met Emilio again 3 months after the first meeting. She says, "My mother dragged me to this wedding that I really didn't want to go to, and Emilio's band was playing. Emilio remembered me and asked me to sing a song with the band. A few weeks after that, Emilio asked Gloria to join the band permanently. At first, Gloria said no. She had just begun classes at the University of Miami. Because her high school grades were so good, she made honor roll every semester. Gloria had received a scholarship. She had never thought about joining a band or following a full-time musical career. Of course, she loved music and liked to sing, but mostly for fun. She worried that if she joined Emilio's band, she would not have enough time for her studies. Gloria's mother worried too. But Emilio promised Gloria that she would perform only on weekends and vacations. Her mother agreed that Gloria could sing, but only if Gloria agreed to finish college. Gloria promised, then accepted Emilio's offer. I loved music so much that I couldn't let a great opportunity like this pass me by, she says. With Gloria as lead singer, the band had a better, different, very special sound. Soon, Emilio changed the band's name from the Miami Latin Boys to Miami Sound Machine. All of a sudden, Gloria says, I was going to parties every weekend, singing with the whole band behind me. She loved to perform and came to realize that music was her calling. Through their music, Gloria and Emilio got to know each other. Like the Fajardos, Emilio and his family had come from Cuba. Like many Cuban refugees, they had settled in Miami. They were very poor when they arrived in the United States, so Emilio worked at many jobs to help support the family. By the time he met Gloria, Emilio was the director of marketing at a Miami company. But Emilio's real passion was music, and his part-time band was one of the most popular dance bands in Miami. By the time Gloria joined the band, Emilio had long been thinking about quitting his job and working with his band full-time. Gloria sang with the band for a year and a half before Emilio asked her out. They fell in love, dating steadily during Gloria's last 2 years at the university. In May 1978, Gloria graduated from college. 3 months later, on September 1st, 1978, she married Emilio. Chapter 3. Changes. After their marriage, Gloria and Emilio began a long, hard job, getting the band known all over the world. The Miami Sound Machine's first album, Renacer, 1978, was a collection of disco, pop, and original ballads sung in Spanish. During the next 2 years, the band released 2 more albums. All the albums sold well in Miami, but they didn't get much attention anywhere else. In 1980, 2 changes took place in Gloria's family. Her father died after 12 years of crippling illness. He had been in a Veterans Administration hospital since 1975. His long illness had brought the family much grief. Gloria says, "It just gets to the point where you pray that the suffering will end because you can't imagine why anyone has to go through something like that." That same year, though, Gloria and Emilio's first child was born, bringing much joy and happiness to the family. The couple named the boy Nayib. They decided at once that their son was the most important thing in their lives. Not long after Nayib was born, Emilio quit his full-time job. He wanted to give all of his attention to making a success of Gloria and the Miami Sound Machine. Soon the group signed a contract with Disco's CBS International, the Miami-based Hispanic division of CBS Records. Disco's CBS International specializes in Latin music. Company officials decided that the Miami Sound Machine should release albums only in Spanish. The band's recordings would be sold in the Latin American countries, where the people speak mostly Spanish. Gloria explains, "CBS thought we would sell better in Latin America if we sang in Spanish. But we kept the right to record in English because eventually we wanted to try for the States." During the next several years, Miami Sound Machine recorded 4 Spanish-language albums. From those albums came a dozen songs that became worldwide hits. By 1984, Miami Sound Machine was one of the most popular recording groups in Latin America. And, even better, Gloria Estefan and the Miami Sound Machine were becoming popular all over the world. Chapter 4: World Fame and Tragedy. Throughout the rest of the 1980s, Gloria and the Miami Sound Machine recorded song after song. Each was a bigger success than the one before. During those years, too, the group began to record English-language songs. The string of hits began with Dr. Beat, 1984, a Latin-style dance song that the group recorded in English. Dr. Beat was on the record's B-side, the side that usually gets no airtime on the radio. But it wasn't long before Dr. Beat could be heard on many Miami radio stations, both Spanish and English language. When CBS released it nationally as a dance single, it zoomed to number 10 on the dance charts. In 1984, the group also recorded the album Eyes of Innocence. Primitive Love came out the next year. These two albums made Gloria and the Miami Sound Machine a success all over English-speaking America. In fact, Conga, a single from Primitive Love, went to number 2 on the American pop charts. The song also made Billboard's Dance, Latin, and Black charts, the first song in American music history to appear on 4 charts at the same time. Let It Loose, 1987, stayed on the pop charts for more than 2 years. The album sold 3 million copies in the United States alone, and it produced 4 top 10 hits. The group performed at the closing of the 1987 Pan American Games, even though the Cuban government protested because it wanted a Latin American band to play. And in 1989, Cuts Both Ways demonstrated Gloria's talent as a songwriter. The album contained 10 of the many songs she had written during a 20-month tour. The early months of 1990 carried on the streak of success. Gloria and the band performed at the American Music Awards and the Grammy Awards ceremonies. From CBS, they received the Crystal Globe Award, a prize that goes to performers who sell more than 5 million records outside their own country. Gloria met President George Bush at the White House, where he honored her for her drug prevention work with teenagers. Life shined brightly for Gloria, her family, and the band. But